I don't know exactly why, but it has to do with the mood of the city at that time and the look, the proportions, the people, the events, all came together as a beautiful inspiration.
I guess a lot of people hear that and they think beauty, filth, they don't go hand in hand. Depravity, corruption.
I always say that if you don't know what it is, a sore can be very beautiful. But as soon as you name it, it stops being beautiful to most people.
A sore, like something that...
A sore in the skin, an infection, a deep cut with pus and discoloration. But if you took a picture of it, a close-up, and you didn't know exactly what it was, it could be a great beauty of organic phenomenon.
That's actually very true. The show, we're not going to call it a retrospective, the first major survey of your work doesn't really involve that much film. It's mostly visual arts, but you also do sound. I mean, I was the person that asked the question about your music and that being on when you came in. I didn't even know what it was when he was playing that, when you were first setting up. I was like, what is this? And you don't really talk about that at all.
I only wanted to be a painter, and painting led to wanting to do a moving painting with sound. So cinema to me is sound and picture moving together in time. And for me, it was born out of painting.
So when you're composing pieces of music, are they little stories as well?
Cinema has led me to still photography, to a deeper love of sound, and you could say soundscapes, and then music. And I love experimenting with sound. The music came much later. I worked mainly with my friend and composer Angelo Badalamenti, but then I started experimenting with different instruments, and mainly for sound effects, but the sound effects were musical in nature, and it led to getting more into the world of music.
Did you actually contribute to some of the soundtracks for your film, but are not credited because you didn't do?
Well, I work with Angelo in a way. I talk to Angelo with words, and he plays my words. If I don't like what I'm hearing, I change my words.
I remember reading that you came out from your house at 25th and Fairmount, and there's a dead body on the stoop.
No.
Okay.
It was Poplar Street, where Poplar meets Girard Avenue, and a young 13-year-old boy was shot in the back of the head about a block from the front of our house.
That must have been terrifying.
It was a beautiful day. My wife Peggy was taking our little girl Jennifer out in a perambulator, and a group was going to a christening, a group of maybe 12 people, and they were all dressed up, and a gang came from the other side of the street and started tormenting this group, and the young 13-year-old boy tried to defend the group. And they kicked him into the street and shot him in the back of the head with a zip gun. And he died there.
Have you done anything with that? That's a chilling...
No, these things happened, and they happened in many cities, but These things didn't happen every day, but these kind of things were in the air.
And you've said, and maybe I can get you to say it again, Philadelphia was your greatest influence?
Philadelphia was my greatest influence.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you've said it a number of times. So.
Yes.
I'm going to hand this over to Peter, my colleague in radio, and we're just going to switch seats.
Okay.
Nothing is going to change.
Howdy.
Good. Thanks for taking the time to talk. I had another chance to go quickly upstairs and look at your paintings and prints. PAFA has a really strong reputation for classical figurative academic work, and the figures that you're showing up here are in a very primitive style. I'm wondering if, when you were a student here, did you find yourself kicking at the reputation that the school had?
No, I just wanted to do the ideas that came, and I didn't really know about the history of the Academy. I was with a great bunch of students who were serious painters, and like I say, you know, we inspired one another, always working, and you know, each one had their own voice, but it was a great group that we drove each other, you know, forward.
I had a chance to speak with Roger Lapel last week about you and about that time when he was helping you out and pulling you. And he said at lunchtimes you would do little games to inspire you. Like he mentioned that you had an idea that you wished the insides of chocolate bar wrappers would look like leaves. So that
oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I thought for trash in the street, if the wrappers looked like tree bark or leaves or stones, you could just litter all you wanted, and it wouldn't be such an eyesore.
Were you doing that kind of thing a lot in your off time when you weren't working?
Making leaves?
Or coming up with ideas like this?
Ideas are the big gifts, and ideas are flowing for all human beings all the time. Ideas. And I always say, you don't do anything without an idea. It's those ideas, though, that you sometimes catch that they're very important to you. And when you catch one, it's such a thrill that you instantly fall in love and you know what you're going to do. And there's ideas for everything. And it's just catching them is the thing. I always equate it to fishing. You have to have patience, and you have to I say a desire is like a bait on the hook. You desire an idea, it's like baiting the hook, and if you have patience, those ideas will start swimming in.
You know, I once heard something that Robert Frost said about ideas and catching them. That sometimes an idea would visit him when he wasn't in a place where he could write it down. And he would look the idea sternly in the eye and say, "I'll be in my office tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You come back."
That's a very good thing. Now, there's a lesson. If you get an idea, you should write it down right away, especially if it's one that you're falling in love with. You think you might never forget it, but if you do forget an idea, it's a torment, and it's almost drive you to suicide.
The way you've described your time in Philadelphia when you were a student here, you fell in love with its filth and its fear.
I didn't really fall in love with fear. Fear is not really a thing that causes you to fall in love, but it's a thing in the air that you have to live with, and it's a torment. It's a huge torment. I moved to Los Angeles, which isn't, completely absent of fear, but the fear that I had gathered in Philadelphia, it took a year for it to lift away.
I understand that while you were shooting Eraserhead, you lived in your set. A set that was seemed to be built on claustrophobia and torment, or a story.
Well, I slept there. It was a great room, and I was very fortunate to get control of the stables area, which was a maid's quarters, car garages, and hayloft, and many different rooms where I could work on my film Eraserhead. And I didn't have any money, so I lived there as well.
The way you have spoken, the way it's been written about your time in Philadelphia as sort of a dark place and a dirty place. I also understand it had quite a vibrant art scene. You worked with a lot of great people here, and there was something in the air artistically.
Yes.
That was maybe not so bleak as
No, there was the whole world wasn't all bleak. As I said, the students that were here at that time were very inspiring to me and to each other. It was beautiful. It was great. And there were also scientists that were our friends. The semiconductor ferroelectric I remember hearing about at parties. And it was a great group. Great groups. C.K. Williams, great poet, was a friend, and it was there was something in the air that was very good.
I wonder what you did when you weren't working. You worked a lot, I understand, and you
I
had
like
a
to
family
work.
to raise too.
Pardon?
And you had a family as well, I know. So you had a lot to do, obviously.
Well, I mainly worked.
Were there places where artists in the art scene would congregate? Were there restaurants or bars or galleries or something?
No, not for me. I really am more like to work, so I'm near the place to work. There were parties, though. There were parties.
Okay. I think those are my questions for you.
Okay.
Thanks so much for your time.
You got it.
Could we do a group picture?
I'm stuck. I thought this was happening. I'm stuck to the chair.
I thought you meant you were stuck in the...
No, I'm stuck to the chair. You see that? Come over here, Anna. Look at this.